Hey, it's PH here, and I wanted to share some videos that I was made to watch for school. If you don't know, I'm currently a high school student, and I go to a very liberal school. Generally, I'd like to believe liberal is a good thing, but I'm sure you can guess I think it's a little more complicated than that. Just so you know, I'm not Republican or anything. There's a lot I see wrong with conservative values too, but I'm just choosing to talk about liberal propaganda because that's what impacts New York most. Just so you know, these are videos my teacher showed us, and videos published by the New York Times. I wanted to start doing more reaction-type videos, because I feel like a lot of what I say just may not seem relevant if I don't have a counter-arguer. That's why I'm hoping people start watching my channel, especially people who are part of this regressive left, so that I'll have someone to argue with. Anyway, let's get right into it. This first video is titled, A Conversation with Latinos on Race. Already, just from the title, I know it's gonna be some stupid liberal shit.
I think the Latino identity is pretty confusing to me because oftentimes I find it in a little checkbox on a form and I'm confused on whether I should put Latino or Hispanic, but I'm Mexican.
Okay, doesn't this seem like kind of a first world problem? And I get that even first world problems need to be addressed. Hell, I'd consider feminism a first world problem, but checking your race on a form just doesn't seem like a pressing matter. Now, I actually don't think they should even have a section where you need to put your race, because why the fuck should your ethnic background have to do with anything? I thought you were supposed to be judged by the content of your character.
As Latin Americans, as Hispanics in the U.S., there's a community that gets built regardless of which specific country you're coming from.
And our history is a history of African people, indigenous people, Europeans, conquistadores, all these different people colliding, many times not with their consent. So that informs all these loaded issues people have.
Okay, what is he talking about? I don't even really see an argument that either of these people are making. Talking about their history, different peoples mixing without their consent? What are you trying to argue? That your ancestors raped you by race mixing?
It's like navigating three identities. If you're from the States, you're American, you're Black, and you're Latina. And furthermore, wherever country that you identify in coming from. And that's a lot to navigate.
Now, I don't understand why ethnic culture is so important to these people. Why does it matter at all? Can't people just be people? For one thing, if it has to do with how you were raised, I get it. If you're raised in America, I'd call you American, whatever your race is, or your religion is. And if you're raised with Hispanic culture and stuff, fine. But I don't think it's necessary to have a culture for Black people, or even Hispanics. For instance, if I was raised in, like, Mexico or something, it shouldn't matter if I'm white or mestizo. If I was raised a Mexican, I'd be a Mexican.
But at this point in my life, I actually don't identify as Guatemalan, and it's something that I guess a lot of like young immigrants sort of feel, where there's this saying like, ni de aquí, ni de allá, not from there, not from here.
In trying to blend in with the culture in America, I gave up a lot of what I grew up with. Maybe I saw it as something that was kind of shameful or in the way. I wanted to dress like my friends in America. I wanted to talk like them. I wanted to be like them, listen to the same music. I started listening to country music.
Okay, but why is that a bad thing? I'm not dissing this guy's culture or anything, but generally, if you live in a country, I'd think you'd just be happier assimilating with their culture. Not just exclusively the US, but wherever you live. You're probably going to be happier if you have friends like you, and if you can relate to people. Maybe he's giving up his old culture, but in doing so, he's learning a new one. Being white or American isn't inherently lacking in culture. Liberals act like all minorities are cultures, but white people and just general Americans are the ones who don't have a culture. That's pretty US-centric in itself, if I say so. I don't think he should be ashamed for acting like white people. That's not me saying that because I'm white and I like white culture, though I do like it better than most others, probably because I've grown up with it. I'm saying that because when a Latino makes friends with white people in the US, and when that person acts and dresses like other white people in the US, that shows we're all the same. It challenges racism to have different ethnicities mixing. Ethnic diversity is a good thing because it shows people that deep down there's really no difference between whites and Latinos.
I got all these crazy questions like, did you come here in a canoe? And do you know what snow is? And do you live in a hut in Puerto Rico?
Those are some pretty stupid questions.
I thought my name was Spick until I was about 13. And that was my first awareness that race was an issue.
This is a valid statement, and I sympathize for this guy. But obviously, he grew up a long time ago. He doesn't look like he turned 13 yesterday, and we all know our country has had a racist past. All we can do is move past that and learn from the mistakes of our ancestors. I'm sick of BLM and crazy liberals asking for stupid shit like reparations or hating on white people because of what their ancestors did. I'll say this once. I am not responsible for anything my ancestors did.
People say, oh, you look like a white dude. In some contexts, not in all contexts, depends where I am, depends who I'm with, depends a whole lot of things. Depends what language I'm speaking. But however I look, when I leave my name, I can't get a phone call back about an apartment in New York City. And this isn't like 10 places I call. This is like 30.
And I remember telling a kid one time, I was like, let me tell you, the Ku Klux Klan comes here, and they see your last name, you're going too, bro. You know? And the kids are like, what are you talking about? And it was like a big thing.
People generally, unless I speak Spanish, people assume right away, that I'm African American, that I'm black. It's just one of those things. It may be the deep voice, it may be the color of my skin.
I wonder. People probably think you're black because you look fucking black. Why does it even matter? Are you seriously gonna tell me that you're offended people thought you're African American when you're really Afro-Latino or something? This is the definition of first world problems.
Because I talk white, I'm not Dominican, or I'm not black, or I'm not Afro-Latina, or whoever people perceive me as of being. And that hurt, and that still hurts.
Why? Why does that hurt? You're actually pissed that people didn't see you for your race. What the fuck is this world coming to? If you talk like you're white, that's how people should perceive you. I'm wondering when being white just inherently became a bad thing. I know that sounds like something a racist would say, but listen to that and tell me how on earth that's a racist statement. Being white, being black, being Latino. What the fuck does it matter? Your culture should not revolve around your race.
Because one of my daughters is lighter than the other, they had blackness issues. And I remember my oldest daughter telling my youngest daughter that she was black and her hair. She said something, and I remember crying, like immediately, like, oh my God. No. And I had to sit them down and talk to them about our roots and that everything that they learned from the family was wrong.
Okay, I don't know if this is what she's going for, but I'm really getting an anti-black vibe from this woman. Like, she's legit upset that her daughter called her older daughter black. Why? Does she just not like black people?
I feel like I wanted more of my culture. I grew up, there was a point I stopped speaking Spanish to her, and I still don't speak to her in Spanish. So I feel like something was lost, and I don't know if it was just because she was busy raising 5 kids and didn't really think about culture in that way and how I would come to identify myself.
Growing up, like this, as a young teenager, I told people I was Puerto Rican, which is completely, which is right. But at a particular point when I became a little more politicized, I was definitely more of a black nationalist than I was a Puerto Rican nationalist. Maybe because the concept of black nationalism and the black liberation movement is so much more accessible. There isn't a language issue. So yeah, I totally was reading Malcolm and Marcus and James Baldwin and Huey Newton before I read any of the Puerto Rican nationalists.
Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, I was actually Asian, but I felt like I was white, so I decided to join the KKK. This is seriously fucked up. Why is black nationalism an acceptable thing? Do people seriously not see any resemblance between black nationalism and the fucking KKK? Racial nationalism is by definition racist. This guy is literally part of a racist group, and what, because he's Afro-Latino, he can just admit that and it's fine? This is ridiculous. When did Weird Al Yankovic become a black nationalist?
Either you're black or you're white, and if you're like kind of in the middle, you kind of like don't want to be in the middle. A lot of us want to be white, but we're still brown. We're still color. We still have color. We're still, according to what the institution is telling us, what race is based on your skin color. So you're like, I'm brown. So that's kind of like where it came. Like I'm not black, and I'm not white, and I don't want to be white. So I'm kind of brown, and this is kind of like a thing that's there.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely a thing that's there. Look, this is the only valid point I've seen through this whole clusterfuck. Dude, if you want my advice, stop caring about the color of your skin. Nobody should care about that, whether you look at it with pride or shame. It's a skin color. It doesn't mean anything. This is a value that the liberal side has been instituting for, 70 years? Why is it still something people are fussing about? When is our society going to be rid of race?
If you are closer to being white, you are supreme. If you are not, you are less than. And to me, that's how I've understood it. And that's why I think it's very important that Latinos who look like me say, you identify as Latino, cool. Colombiano, cool. Whatever else. But you benefit from light skin privilege. The fact that you have ojos claros, people want to fetishize that, understand what that means. However much I might want to say, oh my gosh, I'm so special because I have green eyes, you're perpetuating white supremacy by running with that.
Oh yeah, really? I'm a white supremacist if I think green eyes are pretty? No, shut the fuck up. If you had ever actually experienced racism, you idiots wouldn't be bitching about this shit. Light skin privilege, that's some bullshit right there. White privilege? I'd like to think that in current day America it's about wealth and not race. But light skin privilege, tell me, how the fuck do you benefit because you have light skin? I could see a cop pulling over a Latino quicker than a white guy, just because there's more stereotypes regarding minorities in crime. but I refuse to think that a cop gives you special treatment because he sees your skin and goes, "Oh, this guy's light Latino." No, that's not how racists think. It's about ethnicity, your background.
I'll talk to a young girl, a young teenager, and she'll say, I'm not white enough to fit into mainstream society. I'm not Black American enough to fit in that, in that faction of society. And I'm like, but you know what? You're the best person to be kind of like a connector between both, because in you is everything. And being Latino in an American kind of New World way is basically being a physical embodiment of how America began as we know it. So you're every woman. So for me, being Latino is being phenomenal.
Okay, so the last guy just said that if I'm proud because I have light skin and green eyes, I'm a white supremacist. Yeah, this woman pretty much just said that Latinos are better than everyone else. Is there no resemblance there? No? You don't see a double standard? Okay.